Hello everybody and welcome to another bar video. Today we're on the map Crystalline Plains. It's been a long time since we've seen this map on the channel, and for those of you that haven't seen it before, it's quite a common tournament map. So let's zoom in down and have a look what we've got today. So with Teddy playing as a blue Cortex, starting in the obvious start position here, and actually going straight into a solar with wind being only at 5, and their opponent is a Ubivator playing Armada today, has chosen not to build that windmill. That's solar. So that will give Ubivator a bit more metal into this starting phase, but he's going to run low on energy soon if he's not careful. Probably going to have to go into ticks straight off in order to recoup some of that energy whilst he builds some more energy, but there we go. Literally building energy as he was about to run out. Could have done that a little bit sooner because he's obviously got no energy whilst building the windmills, and windmills require energy, but very close. He manages to get the 2 scouts out before his Lasbot, and the Lasbot will do a pretty good job at getting all of this yummy crystal. And when we select it, you can see there's only 25 metal in this, but when it comes to energy, a huge amount of energy here as we select E on it. 2,000 energy is quite a lot in the early stage of a game. And there's another 1,200 there and 1,200 there. And as he can only store 1,153 at the moment, that's a lot of energy to have. Now it looks like Teddy has chosen to start vehicles as we see a rascal roaming around. And the ticks are desperately trying to chase it down, but it's enough that this guy is a bit quicker, speed of 153 as opposed to 132. If this rascal keeps going, the tick will never catch up. And because of that, we actually see Ubivator moving this tick around, trying to get in. Now, if units can get like right here, they are very difficult to deal with. You often see players building like solars around here to build like a bit of a wall to stop units getting into the back of metal extractors. Solars, when they die, quite often leave a wreck. And so they still block terrain anyway. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see both players trying to block off this kind of section here. And we haven't actually seen Teddy do any of that yet. Now, again, as I've mentioned in a previous video, this video here is based pre-Season 2 changes. So that's just because there's a bunch of replays I wanted to get you guys to see before we start moving on to Season 2. So just bear that in mind when it comes to incisors. Build power requirements, the pawn changes, and the grunt changes are all not in effect in this video. Now that 5 metal point does get taken out by that one lucky pawn. And we can see that metal income is dropped tremendously for Teddy here. And building the radar up on this high ground is a tremendous position for the radar. Very hard to take out, but gives a huge amount of vision. Now, one thing here, this construction vehicle has just run over a pretty sizable chunk of energy here, as they don't really see this as anything they collide with. And Teddy actually not going for any reclaim of crystals whatsoever, relying purely on his own energy production. Now, when we look at the map, if you haven't seen this before, you've got double point here of metal, another double, and then another double. You have a geo there. Obviously the same on the other side. And let's just quickly zoom back out. Some more metal points towards the middle and so on. Now, what we will see is that most players will push into the middle with most of their stuff. They'll fight over the middle quite a bit. This middle bit is relatively difficult to hold, whereas these kind of positions a bit further back here are a lot more easier to hold, especially with tanks. And then what will happen is that both players will start sending raiding forces down the side, and they are extremely difficult to deal with. There's such a large, wide area here that trying to send units over to defend is very, very hard. And especially with vehicles that are quite slow to turn. They do have better overall speed, but we're starting to see, just look at the difference here in units. 3 incisors to 23 or 22 units on Teddy's side. This army value is extremely skewed. There is another 3 incisors on the left, but Teddy been investing into a lot of LLTs here. Not only that, but armed metal extractors as well, rather than units. Now, the armed and LLT is going to stop quite a lot of pressure from early game pawns. And we can see here with the radar as well. Tremendous position for a radar. Now, the incisors do manage to kill the expanding construction bot, which is going to cost Ubivator a lot of time to get another construction bot up there. It's going to delay his expansion quite a bit. Ubivator's commander in the middle in a decent position, though, to contest the control of the middle. Teddy keeping his commander in base instead to try and build up more economy, instead using that build power. Now, 1 incisor and a scout. Incisor should do fairly well here against these pawns, but not if it gets flanked like that. And now this construction vehicle on its own does have a scout there, but it's not going to be enough, and that is going to be the expansion there lost of Teddy as well. Now that's also going to cost Teddy a significant amount of time, and now this pawn is free to roam around and pick off whatever it can. Meanwhile, again, single incisors out from Teddy here, really struggling to amass any form of like group of units here. He is sending 3 incisors down here on the right, and we're starting to see the beginning of the flanking phase. Now he is trying to push into the middle, but that failed terribly. And as we select this incisor, we can see it's got a fairly decent range, more than what it can actually shoot. And he actually decides to turn around and run, which is probably a wise move there. These incisors not able to deal enough damage, as barely any units, only a single pawn lost by Ubivator, but 4 incisors get destroyed, and that's just 3 incisors for Ubivator. With this Resbot here ready to resurrect all those wrecks, the probably repair of those units should take precedent, really, considering how low they all are. But who knows. Rocket trucks here in the middle now, able to apply a bit of pressure to the LLTs. Good job there's a pounder, though, ready to deal with these pawns as they try and make their way in. Now, the problem with this force in the middle from Teddy is they are extremely slow. So if you're just using them to apply pressure, great. If they're going to do any more than that, he is in trouble. And this force moving along the flank now is going to be tremendously difficult to stop. Teddy has nothing nearby to be able to deal with that. And these guys are now going to cause havoc on Teddy's flank. You can just see these guys, pounders, trying to make their move across, which is not going to do anything. At the same time, we're just going to quickly switch over to this. These incisors here trying to make a hole, but instead just get surrounded and instantly destroyed. But with Ubivator's attention over there instead, these forces do manage to get mopped up. Now, the rocket trucks will do a fairly decent job at making a bit of a hole. Not only that, they are very effective versus air, as we're about to see. As the gunships are coming in to try and get a bit of damage dealt, but there's already quite a few missile trucks up and about. And unable to accomplish anything. A single bomber tries to make its way in. He does manage to drop his bombs and does get the high-value metal extractor. Now, that's not the be-all and end-all right now with the amount of map terrain covered, but it is substantial still. And the bombers still getting caught out. Now, you see, again, huge group of units about to move down the flank. Nothing there to stop it, and that will manage to get these. Oh, but Ubivator pushing in the middle as Teddy was not paying attention, and Ubivator was able to degun. I believe that was 2 missile trucks and a pounder there. And continuing to take damage, though. He's now down to 66%. Not that this will be what actually kills him. But still, this side harass is just tremendously difficult to deal with. And a loss of a construction vehicle. And we can see the same thing now as well, as Teddy's able to get into the back line and just cause some problems. But Teddy here losing attention on his raiding forces and just going to let them get killed by the LLT as he tries to deal with stuff in his corner. Now he is applying a pressure to the commander here. Ubivator's commander down to 20% health and is forced to fall back. There is a transition of units needed by Ubivator, and we can see he's started doing that with maces now coming out. But his plan is to just pepper his opponent into oblivion with missile trucks just slowly whittling down. Pounders are going to do a tremendous job at keeping the pawns off of the missile trucks. And this is a strong force now. Commander in a bit of a precarious position here. 26% health, just only reaching 1,000 health total now. Question is, does Teddy know that's where the commander is? He does. He doesn't want to chase him through the bottleneck. That would be extremely dangerous. But instead, just applying more pressure. The issue is these things aren't that, like, strong. They're extremely fragile, and they're required to keep range. And Teddy looking away for just a moment is enough to cause this entire army to collapse. Not enough guys there to really hold off, and losing it in the end. Now, he did ping it. It looks like Teddy didn't realize that he lost the metal extractor that was there to a bombing run earlier on. Now, a full transition over to brutes will put a good amount of damage out on the field. These are perfect units to raid with. They're so quick and healthy. They can push through LLTs with relative ease. Now, the issue is Ubivator's commander is still pretty low. Only just gotten back up to half health. It wouldn't take much to push into him. The air factory is still there. And Teddy also not yet rebuilding that metal point at all. I don't think Teddy has realized at all. No. Interesting. The muscle truck's still doing a decent job here at providing long-range peppering. Now, I would argue that with the amount of brutes here, he does have a pretty sizable advantage, Teddy. Not only that, Teddy's commander is there at full health. Ubivator's is close to full health now as he's back at 86%. Mistakes of construction vehicles, though, losing them for no reason. 2 of them now, actually. But Teddy forced to peel off units to deal with this huge side attack of 32 units, leaving just the brutes and the pounders in the middle. But that D-gun manages to get 3 tanks. Meanwhile, Ubivator's combo back down to 50% health. And the question is, will any of these flanking units get through? They do. Now, this is quite a sizable chunk of incisors, and if they are able to keep pace with the pawns, we'll mop them up fairly well. Also, one thing I did want to mention is just on the map. I don't have time really to look at it right now, but we are seeing a wider usage of walls at the moment. And on the right, we can see them being used in order to kind of stop any run-bys. Teddy not really having enough forces in the middle here, not microing them well as they're just sat there eating damage. He really needs to be repairing them with his commander, which he is now doing. But quantity is on Ubivator's side at the moment now. He needs more and more units here. He's falling back the tanks, trying not to lose them. But Teddy losing ground slowly but surely. And what that means is all of this reclaim is going to Ubivator's side. Now, with that side run bit cleared up, all of these incisors are free to come back to the main force. Although it looks like Teddy's plan is actually to send them round the flank. Hit here and then hit into the base would be a tremendous goal. Radar is up. And yeah, it looks like he hasn't known. I don't think he ever saw the bombing run here to realize that he's lost this metal point right next to his base. Which is a lot of metal, a huge amount of metal. This is 5 metal a second here. At the moment, he is substantially behind when it comes to metal. Using the incisors, though, for a run-through, as we mentioned. He's desperately trying to send forces to defend on that corner, which he managed to do. But the incisors weren't told to continue on. And Tech 2 now from Ubivator. And as we select Teddy, does he see the factory? This is a big thing now. He needs to see it. He saw the Tech 2 construction bot. Okay, so now Teddy would have got the Tech 2 unit detected. This is huge. It's very important that he knew that. And now the question is, what is Teddy to do? Is he going to go Tech 2 himself? Or is he doubling down on Tech 1? Still without getting that metal point. Going to be putting him further and further behind. This incisor force getting massively caught out here. Now, what Teddy needs to do is he needs to use the speed of vehicles to his advantage here. Vehicles are by far, well, substantially faster than bots. And if he's able to do that, use that to his advantage here, he's obviously moving these guys this way, forcing these units to make a decision. Where is he going to move them? And then these incisors are holding some units over this side. So the question is, what is Teddy to do? Now this is a unit you don't see often. A gunslinger. Fairly versatile unit in early Tech 2. And also we see spy bots coming out. A reminder again, if you missed the message earlier on, this is pre-season 2. These EMP bots are not changed yet. Not that it would matter versus Tech 1. They would stop Tech 1 substantially. Now a huge bomber force being built up by Teddy here. Problem is he doesn't really have any vision. And we just see this guy doing his job here. Impulse damage being dealt just completely stops the tanks in their tracks. Great D-gun, but more of them did manage to get past on the right-hand side here. And the EMP bot did not use its EMP, and some energy damage going to be inflicted here. No units nearby to stop it. And as we select Ubivator's economy, just see how much damage this is going to inflict. Surprisingly, not pushing the tanks in. Just having them run by the back here. Teddy clearly microing elsewhere. And there we go. A fight command base, or a move command. Move command has been set back to the main line. He's probably just Control X'd everything. Little does he know he's still got these guys here. And the gunslinger gets in. Not able to get those. But here come the bombers. Oh, he's going for the Tech 2 factory. All build power gets destroyed. A lot of the bombers drop early. Oh, and the Tech 2 factory gets destroyed. Huge investment lost by Ubivator. And a tremendous amount of bombers left around. Now spreading out all of their damage everywhere. Tremendous amount of damage being inflicted by this bombing run. Ubivator basically left with nothing. Desperately tries to quickly rebuild Tech 2. He does have the metal there that's already being eaten. But such a gargantuan amount of windmills destroyed. Ubivator basically left with no energy production at all. And this is gonna hurt. We can see the energy storage just disappearing rapidly as he tries to get advanced solars built here because he needs that energy. He does not have the energy to afford to build anything else. And Teddy has only just noticed he's missed that middle metal extractor. Now comes advantage Teddy. He's done a huge amount of damage to Ubivator. The question is he going to be able to make the most of it? The Tech 2 factory is already up. It did delay him though. The most important thing here is how quickly can that energy get rebuilt. We can see the LLTs are struggling to fire. They could be firing a lot quicker but aren't because of the energy. And this fight is a bit more important here. Tech 2 constructor is easily defended, but still more harass here as just two incisors managed to make their way through. Getting reclaimed though. Just being more of a hindrance, if anything. Not going to really accomplish much. They do manage to get a single windmill. But on the right-hand side here, even more energy and metal extractors getting killed by just a few tanks. And how this match has turned around. Ubivator was in huge control. But whatever happens when you go Tech 2 is you obviously sacrificing quite a bit. And that definitely shows as the amount of bombers Teddy was able to build up. Now the problem is for Teddy, and if we select Teddy quickly here, there's a huge amount of forces grouping up on the left-hand side. Teddy has himself transitioned over to Tech 2 and is actually going straight for a Tsar. Tsars work tremendously against grouped up units. And with 17 maces here starting to make their way down the hill, this high ground is going to provide a lot of range bonus. Not that we can really see it in the stats, unfortunately. But it does give a bit of a range bonus. Taking the high ground to his advantage, and it could be anyone's game at this point. Teddy was definitely behind going into that bombing run, but the just huge amount of damage inflicted means that Teddy could bring this back. Teddy, seeing that there's only a couple of tanks there to defend, pushes in with his remaining force. Sorry, not Teddy, sorry. Ubivator pushing in with his remaining force. And Teddy trying to bring this Tsar to bear. And ping. Banisters. Banishes, rather. Whoever ain't banisters. Now, this is not able to inflict anywhere near as much damage. But the Tsar is nearby and will be enough to stop that attacking force in its tracks. And now the biggest part here is Ubivator knows Teddy is Tech 2. Now, we see quite a few gunslingers in this army. We don't often see them, and you actually see they've already been replaced here with Zeus's and Hounds. Both players now just drastically trying to eco up. And a big problem for now is Teddy is going to struggle army-wise as he is being Attacked on both sides, and that Zara is extremely slow. Teddy is probably going to lose this territory at least if that kept going. Yet to really make a move. This Banisher will do a pretty good job applying long-range pressure here, as we see it's about to fire. And huge damage dealt. Oh, and there's two more coming from the middle. Get the EMP bot. That was like the perfect target, really. Tech 2 pop-up defense will do fairly well at keeping back any forces on this left-hand side. Not only that, but surprisingly, we see a Tech 2 radar being built. Very rarely do you see these actually built just due to the huge amount of energy cost required to build them. And also, it looks like a pulsar being built there as well. Now, even though Ubivator lost a huge amount of energy, just look how much has been built in that short amount of time. Butlers have great build power, and they are cranking those wins out very quickly. The EMP did EMP a couple of the support units, but the Zara is still fully functional. And it does seem like the Banishers have pushed the Ubivator back quite a bit. Oh, I've never also seen a Banisher miss. So that's a first. Welder actually manages to get by quite far. Oh, gets reclaimed right at the end there. There's this force on the right, makes a move. Grouped up targets are perfect for the Banisher. Now again, pre-season 2, so these Banishers are not able to fire directly behind them. He says, as it looked like that Banisher did kind of fire directly behind it. Now it sees that Teddy is the one struggling with energy. Now Banishers, oh, a huge amount of EMP damage dealt as all three Banishers in the middle were stunned for a brief amount of time. They are back up and running, and maybe it is season 2, as these Banishers are definitely shooting directly behind them. Disclaimer in the comments that this is actually season 2 then, I guess. Rattlesnake artillery built on that left-hand side is going to definitely force Teddy back, and is definitely gone into a big stalemate here. Cerberus being built as well to counter the Rattlesnake. And just a tremendous amount of porking from both players here. And for those of you new to the term, porking is generally, building a bunch of static defenses. I believe it's a FAF term rather than a bar term, but yeah. And this artillery just doing work. Tsar is slowly losing health. They're going to push into this right-hand side, though, before the pulsar's finished. Not really much in the way of Tech 2 to hold that side. There is a reinforcements aiming on their way to get there. That pulsar killed before it was able to be finished. And now here comes a problem for Ubivator. The EMP coming in manages to get all of those units in the middle. Tremendous EMP. There's a single grunt there with the intention of trying to save it, but in comes a second EMP, grabbing all but one of them. And that's going to be some dead Banishers there. Trying to regroup his forces, but loses a lot. And the Cerberus gets built. And that is making very short work. And a tremendous position here as this Pulsar completely unable to shoot the Cerberus due to the wall. But the Cerberus can definitely shoot it. Now, sniper bots are making their way out. That is definitely the right choice here. They are perfect at dealing with these Banishers. And now it's a matter of who's going to make the most deadliest push first. This Pulsar isn't firing. Why is this Pulsar not firing? That has line of sight on it. Odd. This force on the right slowly being decimated by the sniper bot. The biggest problem is these Banishers don't have any vision. They really could do with a radar bot or something with them. Oh, that was a huge amount of fire there. It was able to kill a lot of units. And as we switch back, our Cerberus is just doing a huge amount of damage. Not focusing the Pulsar yet, but a very, very strongly positioned Cerberus. And now, using the Cerberus to target the Pulsar, and we've seen it switch over to a bit of a higher arc. And that will kill that Pulsar, and that was a lot of economy invested into that for no reason. And Teddy, all in the blue at the moment. Everything over here in the blue with the exception of metal produced. Like 10k difference, 11k difference between the two players. But Teddy in a very, very strong position. Now, potentially not enough AA with a decent chunk of gunships being built here. This is a extremely forward fusion. Arc on them. What the heck's going on with that rocket? What's the ping? This rock is strong. It is indeed a strong rock. Now with the scouts coming out here, these scouts are purely there to field for the EMP and to tank the shots of the snipers. And we can just have a quick peruse over both bases here. We can see Teddy's very quickly here just building pretty much only Banishers. He's got fighters coming out of his air lab, AA coming out from his bots, and scouts from everything else. And as this line of Banishers slowly creeps forward here, the damage is just tremendous. One problem with them is nothing in front of them. And they're just getting killed bit by bit. And look at the sheer amount of gunships on this left-hand side here. Making very, very short work of the Banishers on the left flank. And the gunships going for the Cerberus as well. Trying to take down all of the AA first. No flak was built here, which is a big mistake. And where are those fighters? Desperately trying to build AA, tending to save the Serb. To be honest, it might not be that there's enough gunships here and the Serb will survive. Barely. But the Serb does survive with 20% health. Resbots actually resurrected the Pulsar on the left-hand side. That's great. I don't know. It's looking really hard for Ubivator at the moment. Holes appearing as defenses. Right-hand side. Bunch of scouts getting through and just able to freely hit Tech 2 metal extractors. A slow push coming down the middle. Probably won't be enough. As they get inside that Cerberus range, the Welder's just not really able to contend. And a nuke launcher being built by Teddy. Will it be a nuke to finish the game? Or will the atomic bombers of Ubivator end up pulling it out? Now, these scouts getting tremendous value as they're able to just freely kill windmills, finally getting finished off. But this is a lot of damage these scouts have inflicted. All of the windmills that were being built by these butlers just getting taken out as the micro is just too much for Ubivator right now. He's got more important things to deal with. And this pulsar just causing him even more problems. Also, that Cerberus is able to shoot very far as well. And I think what we're going to see is nuke bombers maybe going for a snipe here. The question is, where is Teddy's commander? Right in the center of the base. Only basic AA here. There is a screamer on the right-hand side, but nothing else. Oh, okay. The Lich was instead used to try and kill the pulsar. And something you never see, the pulsar switched off goes into an armored mode, like solar panels. And now will be a lot tougher to kill. You very, very rarely see that. And I bet the majority of you didn't even know that was a thing. A huge amount of spam coming out here to try and deal with the banishers. They do have quite a lot of splash, so it is relatively difficult to do that way. Teddy could do with more grunts, really, to make the impact. Or a couple more Zars would also do it. Problem with Zars is he does have to worry about friendly fire. And it does look like Ubivator's importance here is trying to get this pulsar. He might not realize it's still alive because it's closed. Oh, but here comes the atomic bomber back in again. And it does manage to kill the pulsar. Does use two atomic bombers to do it, though, but... And the slow but steady crawl ever closer. And we can actually see an EMP bot there didn't actually stun that tiger. Once he starts losing build power, though, that will be it for Ubivator as we quickly switch over. Look at the nuke. Not there just yet. But it looks like it's probably not going to be needed in the end, as a bunch of tigers have managed to make their way around on the left. And with that, yep, Ubivator calling the GG. Not only that, but units getting in around the back as well. Very, very well played there. Teddy's bombing run literally saving the day for him. Wasn't for that bombing run, honestly, Teddy probably would have lost. And great game. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.